Hey guys, it's Cassidy. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do this copper smoky eye. So I'm starting off with doing my brows first as usual, and I'm using the Anastasia Dipbrow with a small angled brush. The way I like to do my brows is just to underline them first, kind of starting or focusing more at the tail. So just underline, then I'm going to do the top portion of the tail. And then what I do to fill in is just push the product from those lines upwards until it fills it in. And then when I get to the front of the brow, I turn the brush on the tip and go upwards in hair-like strokes. For priming my eyes, I'm going to use the Soft Ochre Paint Pot by MAC and a thin tapered brush also by MAC, and I'm just going to take this underneath my brow so I don't mess it up. And I like to take my bases from lash line to brow bone. This is just going to keep our eyeshadow from creasing. It's going to also help the colors stand out more and last all day. For the rest of my lid, I just like to use my finger to blend it in. And then I'm going to go over top with some loose powder just to set it. But you can use any powder, your face powder, or any eyeshadow that matches your base. For the first shadow, this is Chickadee by Geek. And I'm just going in with a fluffy blending brush, and I'm just putting this into my crease, and I'm creating more of a round shape. So this is going to go all the way from the outer corner to the inner corner of the crease, and I'm just going to build it up until I get a desired opacity. The next color I'm going in with is a little bit more orange. This is Morocco, also by Geek, and I'm going in with a more stiff blending brush. So this one is more dense, it's not as fluffy. So this is going to apply a lot more product and really pack it on, but it's also going to help blend it out. So I'm putting this also in the crease, but going a little bit lower. This is going to start adding some depth to the eye. And then to make things a little bit more defined, I'm going in with a smaller brush. This is the Zoeva 224. And this is a really cool brush. It's like very fluffy at the top, and it really like fans outwards. So it's really fluffy, but it still packs on a lot of color. And I'm really kind of focusing this just on the outer portion of the eye and the inner portion, kind of creating like a halo effect. And this color is also Tiki Hut by Geek. So it's just like a kind of mid-tone brown, a little bit more on the warm side as well, but this is just going to deepen up that orange without making it muddy looking. For the next eyeshadow, this is Cocoa Bear by Geek. I'm sticking with that same small fluffy brush, and I am applying this even lower onto the eye. So this is actually kind of going a little bit in the crease to define it a little bit more, but mostly focusing it all over the lid. I was just going to put it in the outer and inner portion of the eye, but I decided that the lid color that I was going to go in with would probably stand out more with this shade underneath as opposed to the light color of the soft ochre base. So I ended up just kind of fluffing that all over the lids. You could just use a shader brush for this. So once that Cocoa Bear was on, I feel like that orange kind of disappeared a little bit. So I wanted to go back in with a little bit more of that to make it stand out. So I'm just going back to that Zoeva 227, and I'm just adding a little bit more of that Morocco shade. For underneath my brow, I'm using Rice Paper by MAC. No surprise here. And I'm just using this small brush by Morphe to apply that underneath my brow. It's just a pale, kind of yellowy champagne color. You can use your favorite highlight shade. But a warm undertone would work best with this eye. Going back to the lid, this is a foiled eyeshadow by Geek called Flamethrower, and I'm applying this with a very silky kind of synthetic brush. And I didn't spray this, I didn't put any adhesive down to make it stick. These are so intense, so metallic, and just so pigmented and beautiful. I'm obsessed with them, and I'm just applying this on a round shape really just on the center of the eyelid, and then going back to most smaller brushes to make sure that the edges are blending in with the rest of the eyeshadow. Now I'm just using a makeup wipe to clean up my fallout, and because I wanted this eye look more round, I just like to take the wipe and just like tap it across the edge so there's no distinctive line. For eyeliner, I'm using the Tarte Clay Pot in black and a really skinny precision brush by MAC. This is their 210 liner brush. This is my favorite brush to do liner with. A lot of people like to use an angled brush. Honestly, whatever is best for you. You can use a liquid liner. I just prefer to use gel and a really tiny brush because I have more control over it. So I just take a line following my waterline going outwards to my desired length. You can always lengthen it later. And then I just go about the middle of that line, draw it back towards my eyelid, and then it kind of creates this triangle shape. I just fill that in, and then I go into my inner corner and draw a line, just super thin, basically just laying the brush down against my lash line. It just creates like the thinnest line possible. And I'm just drawing it backwards. This clay pot is not my favorite liner I've ever used because it's not super black like straight out of the gate, but it is waterproof and it really does not move, and the formula itself does not crumble or crack or get weird as you layer it and build the liner, so I use it for that reason. But I definitely have to go over it about 2, maybe 3 times to get it as black as I want. So I like a little bit more of a thick liner when I do just really, smoky eyes. So I'm just building this up to my preferred thickness by rounding it out at the center of the lid. Moving on to face, I am using the Hourglass Mineral Veil primer. As always, it's like the only primer I've ever used that actually makes a difference, and I can't live without it. It's the best. And for foundation, I'm going in with Cover FX Natural Finish Foundation, and my skin was absolutely terrible in this video. I was using a face wash, or I was trying a new face wash, and it was like burning my skin, so I had all these awesome breakouts. So I wanted more coverage without using concealer. So I'm actually using a brush to apply this. I haven't used a brush in literally probably a year, but this is my favorite foundation brush. This is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. So I'm just buffing this into the skin, and then I will be going over with a beauty blender just to make sure that there's no streaks or any lines. But honestly, my foundation did go so much further using a brush as opposed to a sponge that really does kind of soak up a lot of your product. I probably used about half the amount I use with the sponge to get a full coverage here, so that was pretty cool. For concealer, I wanted to try out the Tarte Shape Tape because everyone is losing their minds over this. They have been for months. Unfortunately, the color that I got matched my skin almost exactly. This is the shade Tan Sand. And when I took it back to exchange it for a lighter color, they were all kind of pink, or they were just a little too light. I get really tan in the summer, and there just wasn't really like a yellow based shade that wasn't too light. So I ended up just taking it back because it was a little thick under my eyes. You really have to work quick with this concealer, and I would find, especially under my eyes, that as I blended it, I would like step back and look in the mirror and it'd already be creasing. So it was just a little thick for me, but my under eyes are honestly like my problem area on my face, so I am very picky about my concealers, but the coverage was great, so maybe it'll work for you. And then to set that, I am using the MAC Mineralize loose powder in the shade Light, and I'm just using the pointy end of the beauty blender to just press that into the skin. To set the rest of my face, I'm using MAC Mineralize Press Powder in Medium Tan. I honestly just do like a really thin layer powder all over the face. Jumping back up to the eyes, I'm using that first eyeshadow that we used, that more yellow shade Chickadee, and I'm just using a pencil brush to apply this underneath my eye, all the way from corner to corner. I really wanted to smoke out the lower lash line the same way that the lid is smoked out. Here I'm just going back with the blending brush just to make sure that my edges are blended into my foundation, but I am going to go back under with the orange color as well, Morocco. I feel like when you really layer the shades under your eye, you get a much more dimensional look as opposed to just slapping one color under there. So that's why I layered those. And then this is just a warm tone brown pencil. This is Costa Riche by MAC. I've applied that into my waterline and into my lashes. And then to blend that out, I'm using a flat liner lip brush by Morphe because I didn't want this to go super smoky or like go down very far. I wanted that yellow and orange to still stand out. So I just applied a coat of mascara to my top and bottom lashes, and now I'm applying falsies. These are Glamour lashes by Eyelure and Vegas Nay. I just like to apply my lashes starting with the center, get that down first, and then I go in and tack down the edges. I did have to trim these, and they were really pretty though. I really like them. And so what I do is just, once I get the corners down, that's kind of where a lot of people stop. If you do, I feel like you run the risk like at least 50% up of your lash popping off throughout the night. You really want to press it down into your lash line, press the false lash with your natural lash and kind of bend it upwards. If you think you've got it in place, you like press it down even more and it will not move. It'll stay in place. Your corners won't lift up. You just really have to maneuver the lash. Now I'm just applying some black liner over top of the glue to make things a little more seamless. For bronzer, this is Give Me Sun by MAC. I don't know why it looked so pale in that clip. I'm just applying this with a fluffy angled brush to my cheekbones, my temples, and a little bit underneath my jaw. And then for blush, this is like my favorite blush ever. This is Petal Power by MAC. It's a mineralized blush. It's very similar to Orgasm by NARS, but there's no chunky sparkle. It's just so glowy and so gold. Honestly, this video does no justice to this blush. It's beautiful. And this is my Sad Champagne Pop by Becca and Jaclyn Hill. I am like waiting for it to run out, but it just keeps giving me more and more. So yeah, that's the highlighter I'm using. I'm just applying that to the tops of my cheekbones, a little bit on my nose, a little bit on my Cupid's bow. And then I also took that with a fluffy pencil brush into the inner corners of my eye. I'm also popping that underneath my eyebrow apparently. For lips, this is Bold Lay Bare by MAC. It's a peachy, pinky nude. I'm just aligning my lips with this and then filling in the entirety of my lips with it. And for lipstick, this is Yash by MAC. It is a, like, honestly just a peachy nude, but it's better if you have tan skin. So if you're more olive or tan, it's a great nude color. It's also, I believe, a matte finish. So I'm just applying that over top, and that's it for the lip. And I'm just going to set my face, and that is the completed look, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up. I love that crater on my chin. And please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.